Hi, I'm Pablo García-Valenzuela from Naff Studio, which stands for Nine Angles for Forte, and have developed 3D sound instruments both for the live performance of spatial music as for composition. I have a PhD in electroacoustic music composition, but since about 9 years ago, I've gone back to rhythm and melody. Still interested in electroacoustic and acousmatic music, so the result is pretty much experimental 3D sound rock. So what happens is that after a lot of work, I created these instruments for my own music, for my own project, for my own musical project, but it was so much work that at the end of it, I realized that I had a product at hands, and I decided to commercialize these instruments, and they will be very soon released by Native Instruments. These are just sound sources with a lot of acoustic complexity that I have used as a source, as an excuse to create something abstract, something different. So my instruments do not intend to represent natural sounding instruments such as horns or trombones, but I use those sources as an excuse to create something new, while at the same time it has they all have the original acoustic complexity that nature has. But that's one part, and then you needed to create a behavior. And the behavior was designed in the studio for each dynamic, for each height, and then programmed into Kontakt. So the idea is that you have basically a very complex, great sounding acoustic source, which is transformed into a creative way, into an abstract kind of sound. And then it behaves in a way spatially according to dynamics, or sometimes even height, but mainly dynamics, meaning how strong you hit the instrument, how strong you play the instrument, how hard you hit the note, different spatial things will happen. And that took a lot of work. Well, I could say welcome to a new generation of sampling, because these are 3D sound samples, 3D sound sources. That means that the source, the actual original sound, was recorded using multi-microphone techniques, and in a way that you capture the sound itself, its direction, as well as reflections all around the room, right? So any sound in an enclosed space, if it's not too reverberated, you will be able to perceive its location, where it is. That's one thing. The other is how the sound immediately after bounces all over, including ceiling, the back wall, the lateral walls, everywhere. It's 3D. So in order to capture that, you need multi-directional microphones, right? So all of these instruments, this spatial 3D experience can be translated to multi-channel systems using a lot of speakers, as well as for headphones using binaural technology via AMBISONICS or DOLBY ATMOS, meaning there can be mass consumption of this type of spatial music. Yeah, I mean, it is an issue. Even if you have the money to get a multi-channel system, which, it's going to be expensive. But even if it's not, a lot of people wouldn't buy a multi-channel system because it's just too bulky. It's not practical in your living room, unless you are a fan, right? And I know a lot of people are, and they will buy multi-channel systems. But generally speaking, no. Even if they are cheap, if they were cheap, they would be bulky, right? So the translation to binaural, it's extremely important. It's not as perfect as an actual multi-channel, multi-speaker experience. And I would suggest that for a concert experience, I would basically push the idea that you must use multiple speakers. But for mass consumption, for home systems, etc., or for simply the way most people, young people, listen to music nowadays, which is headphones, the binaural translation is amazing. It is amazing. It's still an art. It's not new. I mean, people might think this is new, but it's not. It's actually pretty old as a technology, but it's new as a mainstream technology. And that is important already for a way to translate all of this experience and share this experience with everybody, basically. So one great thing about these instruments is that they will behave dynamically to spatial sound. An example would be the drums, and the drums will normally they will be panned left and right at the front of the system. First of all, you will get a 3D sound source. So that means that the drums will sound 3D in terms of its spatial representation, reverberation, right? But normally you will get a left, right, front panning of the toms. And you can get that, but you can also activate a function in which toms will move all over according to dynamics, meaning that if you hit them in a soft way, with low dynamics, they will still behave left and right in the front of the system, but if you hit them hard with high dynamics, fortissimo, then they will start moving all over the system, left, right, up, back left, back right, all of the positions in a 3D sound system. And also you get the option to program in this case, the drums in a way that at any dynamic, the toms will be moving, if so you wish. The same with the snare. You get a snare that it's fixed in the front of the center front of the system, as probably any snare would normally behave in any recording, other than, again, it sounds 3D, but it will be fixed at the front. And at any time you can activate a function in which the snare will move to a different position with each hit. So the drummer can actually create gestures that move all over the system. Again, back, left, up, right, but with each hit when he wants to. Okay, again, so in terms of, for example, keyboards, you will get something similar. You will get a sound, either orchestral-based sampling or electronic-based resampling, whatever. You will get a sound that it's 3D represented in the 3D sound system, obviously, and it will be at the front of the system as any sound would normally be. But then you activate the modulation wheel, you move it to a different position, and then the sound will move all over according actually to your speed of playing in this case. Although there are other cases which is also according to the dynamics. So you get that palette of possibilities that you activate when you wish while playing live. That's important because they are essentially designed for live performance, for concert experience. But you can also do the same while composing in a studio. I mean, I visualize concerts using 3D sound systems. It is a challenge because you cannot do massive concerts with 3D sound systems. You need a small diameter, or you have to be Pink Floyd, Roger Waters, whatever, in order to create many systems in a way that each group of 1,000 people have their own multi-channel system. You cannot set that up in a stadium unless you use it as an effects, which precisely Pink Floyd has done it. But as an effects, it's very interesting too. But as an actual 3D sound concert, you need a small multi-channel system, right? So I definitely see that in the future. Yes, it is difficult. Yes, it's more challenging. Yeah, it's probably more expensive, but every time it will be less and less expensive. I can't guarantee the future, but that's the way I see it. And the fact that it can be translated to headphones through binaural technology, which, if you think about it, it's pretty old. There's nothing new about it. The new thing about it is that it's mainstream now. It can be mainstream. Anybody can experience 3D sound anywhere in the world with a simple pair of headphones. However, I do believe you need I believe it's not enough, as I said earlier, to have a better sound. You need a concept. That concept, to me, comes from physics. For other people, may be more poetic or psychological, but I don't see a way back to stereo. No way. Not in actual productions, not in concerts, not me. That is an issue. I mean, at this time, it won't necessarily bring you more plays. It won't necessarily bring you more money, right? So in terms of the industry standards and music business, I don't know, right? It seems like, okay, as a new phenomena, in terms of mainstream media, it seemed to have been a shock, right? It seemed to have had a lot of future. But right now, it doesn't seem to mean that you're going to be definitely not more successful. That depends on the music. And definitely not more plays because your mix is in 3D as opposed to stereo. So yeah, I totally understand that point. And I don't care. I don't care because it's irrelevant to me. It's not a matter of having more. Well, of course, anyone wants more plays and more money. Yeah, that's okay. But it's not about that. It's not a strategy in order to make more money or get more plays. It is definitely a better quality of sound. And if we manage to create an actual concept behind the 3D sound, which is not existent in stereo, then it'll be a form of art. To me, it's possible. I've said it. To me, it's about physics and relativity and quantum mechanics translated into music, but properly translated. But it could be psychological, it could be poetic, it could be anything. But even if it's nothing, right? Even if you wouldn't agree with these concepts, then you still get a better sound. So there's no way back to stereo. That's my opinion, because the intention was never to get more plays or to make more money. The intention was to get a better representation of sound and then see what happens creatively with that new technology. But it's important to talk about this because it makes me remember 3D cinema. To me, it was fascinating. I was the first person to go and put those glasses to see a movie, right? Some people, I met them and they said they hated it. They hated to put on those glasses. So you need to create a concept that can only exist in 3D sound or 3D music to make it worth it for some people. To me, it exists. I've already explained it. But if that convinces someone, it's not on my control. I don't know. Pues me clavé mucho, pero
ya haré yo los cortes.
Sí, o sea, con que se entienda que el proceso está de hueva, o sea, que el proceso es muy complejo. Las etapas que tiene de samplear un sonido multidireccionalmente, ¿no? Eso sí vale la pena ponerlo porque pues, tienes sonido tridimensional, pues hay que samplearlo multidireccionalmente. Y luego, pues ampliar un sonido, pues implica dinámicas, round robin, luego trabajo en estudio, luego programación del instrumento. Ya, con que se entienda eso ya está. Y que llega un punto que dices, bueno, hacer esto toma mucho tiempo. Y yo que lo empecé como algo que era para mi música y para mi proyecto musical, pues me di cuenta que tenía un producto en las manos y decidí comercializarlo.